How's it going, everyone? This is op.poker James here. First off, I want to say thank you to everyone who purchased our Spin and Go course. We've had a lot of positive feedback, and thanks to that, we've made 5 pre-flop chart additions to help everyone get crushing those low stakes spin and goes. Today, however, we're going to be looking at some micro stakes spin and goes. This time we'll be reviewing the play of one of our Discord members, and he goes by the star's name of Bruin813. So let's take a look. So we're jumping straight into a $2 spin and go game here, and the prize pool was $4. So that's the 2x multiplier. Especially on these lower stake games, looking at the multiplier is very, very important. Specifically if it's a big multiplier or if it's the 2x. Because on the micro stakes games, people really change their game depending on how much they're playing for. Don't know why that is. I guess it's because they don't care as much. If you're playing for $2 and maybe you're trying to hit a $2,000 spin and go, makes like way less sense, or 20,000 even, and you just hit 4, maybe you don't care. And you will see that happening a lot. You'll see all sorts of weird and wonderful plays on the 2x multipliers, whereas the bigger ones, so when you're talking about let's say you did hit the $20,000 spin on the $2 limit, which I think is the highest, you're gonna see people play extremely scared money. So complete opposite. So a really important thing to take note of, especially if you're playing micro stakes spin and goes. Doesn't happen as much on low, mid or high. But yeah, we're gonna watch. And first hand we had an easy fold. Let's see what these two are up to. All right, don't get anything from that. 5-4 again, easy fold. Got our opponent here limping, completely fine. But his ISO raise size was just a min click raise. It's almost 100% likely that our opponent here is recreational. So just based on that alone, at the $2 games, I would immediately just right click them and mark them as a recreational player of some variety, just so that in the future, if they do appear, it's good to know. I don't recommend on low stakes games or especially micro stakes games on PokerStars to bother making notes. I would just have a labeling system that works for you to determine the kind of player they are. Just knowing that they're probably a recreational player is going to help out a lot. So yeah, we got that. We got a button limp, which can be fine. I wouldn't label that a button limp as being something a recreational does. Just because we don't do it, it isn't the worst thing. I think there are some good high stakes players that do incorporate limps, especially at the higher stack depths. And we have an interesting hand there. Let's go back through it. There's a limp and it was a raise. They had king queen and the opponent had 4-3, I believe. Okay, so it went check check, makes sense. Now he's got a gut shot on the turn, check. Okay, makes sense. The shove is incredible. That's why we had to rewatch that. Why? Just why would you put that amount in? No idea. Guy's sitting here with the nuts like, what a life. Hey. Yeah, if you wanted to mark them now, you definitely need to. There you go, got the idiot tag, I like it. Pre-flop here, A7, you can raise it or you can limp it. I'm not gonna suggest what you want to do. And on a flop of 6-5-6, I think I would actually prefer betting here. A7 can be put in a bunch of spots where if you're facing aggression, you are a lot more undecided on what to do. Whereas if you just bet out here, you can protect the strength of your hand. So it'd be mainly a value, kind of a value bet. But if you are called, there are certain runouts where you decide to turn your hand into a bluff. And then there are other runouts where you decide to slow down. So let's say a 7 rolled out, I would probably slow down a bit. If a 5 rolled out or a 6 rolled out, I'd slow down, knowing that basically we bet for value. But if a king or a queen or a 8, maybe even 4s and 3s come out, you can start turning your ace 7 into a bluffing hand, knowing that you've got one overcard with the ace and the gut shot straight draw. Can put some of those pairs under a lot of pressure if you keep betting. So I find it easier to bet that way. It's not that checking is bad, it's just ease of use, right? So you play as a check call, completely fine. On the turn, you're going to have a tough time because it's not the worst turn card. There are lots of draws that you're still beating. And if you're faced with a large bet, it's kind of annoying because that's normally either going to be a draw or a 6 rather than a 5. Whereas the small bets are more likely to be the kind of hands that have you beat. So either a 2 or a 5. So it's a tough spot here, I have to say. Against the one big blind bet, it's not tough at all. Easy call. And on the river, we just check and he checks behind. Right. He has queen 5 there. Makes sense why he bet small on the turn, like we said. He just went a little bit smaller than I was expecting. I don't think there's too much to mark here. It's a little bit weak, but I'll leave that. Again, it's not a spot where I would never take notes on anyone at the $2 spins on stars because the player pool is massive. It's huge. The likelihood of seeing people again, especially if they're recreational players, not very often. So we're now facing with a lead out. We've got ace 9. I personally would call. I've got position. I'm happy to just call and see what happens. But I don't mind how you're playing this, I guess. It's quite unlikely that our opponent would bet one big blind with a jack. It's almost impossible that this guy's got a jack because I think they would have put it in already. So yeah, I don't mind the play, but I personally would be calling. Okay, you've got called, which to me would signal most of the time I would presume him to have a draw. Most of the time. So let's say a 10-8 kind of hand or a queen 10 kind of hand. Both of which hit to some degree here. He could, I guess, have a 9 himself that's also playing that way. But I'd say mostly draws. So this isn't a great turn card here. I think I'll just check back. And now the only type of hands you're going to be beating are, oh, there you go, those 9x type hands. So he had king 9 there. You're really not beating very much at all here. Queen 9 got there, 9-7 got there. Yeah, it's all the draws, of course, got there, 2 pairs or whatever. Okay, you got a limp, a raise, and you got ace 2. Not the most ideal spot here, I have to say. I don't like folding. I think folding is not the right play there. I think you're taking too much time looking at making notes for people that you probably won't see again. And I don't mind just reshoving. I don't think our opponent will be trapping a strong hand that often. This guy could have any jack shit like he has here. So yeah, I think I probably would ISO reshove that spot. You could flat, I guess, but ace-2 is hard to play. Then again, there has been an all-in, so it's less of a reason to bluff, and our opponent is only min-betting. So, yeah, I guess actually after all those min-bets that we saw, I think I would prefer to just flat call. But for the most part, if they button limp and I didn't have these reads that we just had throughout the game, I would just shove. All right, so he had king jack suited, nothing special there. But I do think folding is a mistake. Queen 9. Okay. I'm gonna limp. I don't mind raising this as well. You could raise it. So against a lot of people, I would be looking to get this to showdown. But considering he's been kind of, he led out, for example, with his king 9 that he called from the small blind, and then in a freeway pot he led out with his middle pair. I think most of the time, if he checks to us, he's going to be very weak or occasional, like really strong traps. So I would prefer to play like a near 100% c-bet strategy once they've checked to me, considering how we've seen things going so far. So yeah, I would just bet everything. Against lots of other players though, I'll just try and get the showdown really with this queen high. He does call, and this is one of the worst turn cards to see, because the kind of stuff that I would expect him to have here would be 3x. That being said, it means there's a lot more chance that he's got random floats, and less likely he's got a free. So you can kind of take your queen 9 for showdown value at this point. And if you are faced with a bet on the river, I would probably look them up. Okay, you don't have to. And they check. And unfortunately, slightly better showdown value to us with the queen jack. But for the most part, if the turn didn't roll out like a free, I would probably be betting nearly every other turn card, because I think our opponent is going to be on the weaker side of things. Maybe you could even bet quite small on the turn with the free, because maybe you think he would lead out if he hit that free. Right, he's got a full house here. Yeah, I don't mind the bet. Get shoved on. Ouch. Against this player, I would just not take the edge. I would not take the edge. Sorry, I would take the edge that we have post flop and fold this full house. We can easily have some traps here. I think at best we're splitting the pot, to be honest. Maybe he's occasionally doing the sick bluff with 6-8 of clubs or 6-4 of clubs, but I don't think so. So it's either we're splitting or we're losing. I'll make the fold. I wouldn't say he definitely has I wouldn't say definitely has a 7. He could easily have a hand like aces or kings, queens that just played in this manner, in my opinion, expecting a 5 to never fold, because he would never would. We're 11 big blinds here. You got 9-5. I think I would be playing any 2 against my opponent. I'd be limping tons. I think we got some really good, nice post-flop reads on him. As you can see, you've made all these notes. Yeah, I would be trying to see as much post-flop as I can. I think he's being very face-up on the strength of his hand body. Makes his first bet size that I've seen that's not a min bet or a shove. It's getting to the point where you're going to have to shove your ace X. There would be a case for me, let's say you're 14, 15 big blinds deep, you got such a post-flop edge on them, you probably don't need to shove these kind of hands. But when you're 10 big blinds, you just try and take that fold equity. He does limp call ace 4 off. That's quite important to note. So you don't want to be shoving against his limps with some as many bluffs as against a lot of other people. So you don't want to shove like low suited kings or offsuit kings and stuff, because he's clearly taking hands that should shove themselves and limp calling them instead. So this is generally good for you. Okay. You get to see a flop with Jack 6. We flopped a pair against our opponent. I would have seen one card, but given that he's hit the pot button, and he's only done that once before, I think we can let it go with Jack 6. I would normally suggest calling one street, but I think we're going to have to let this one go. I really don't like this shove. I think he's going to have an ace here, tons, and obviously you can't get that to fold. Yeah, I really don't like it. I don't think you have enough folds. I mean, obviously he's going to be quite, not even obviously he's going to be quite polar. Maybe he'll have a high king sometimes as well, actually. I think if you are going to play this hand, I'd prefer to do check and call it than shove. I don't think it's a good idea. Against a lot of other people, it's okay to check shove this because they shove all the aces and kings pre-flop at this stack depth. But this guy hasn't. He's shown that he can turn up with ace 4. So he's got a lot more of those type of holdings than a normal player. Most players are shoving all of those weak ace and weak kings at this stack depth. So I wouldn't be doing this. But we do get the fold. But yeah, I really wouldn't recommend it against him. Specifically because we've seen him limp with a hand like ace 4. Most people aren't doing that. So therefore his range is far less far more combinations of value than the normal player. So we can just let that one go, in my opinion. King 10. So I like the limp. Try and play lots of post flop against this guy. Definitely I want to be betting, like we said. And betting and barreling. I think if he had something so far, he's been just showing it to us that he has something. Once you do check back the flop, I guess against this player I don't mind betting, but most people I would say, I mean, you decided to go for showdown value king 10, so why are you changing your mind? But against him, I think it's fine. We do get called and the 10 rolls out. Quite happy with the 10, so we're going to value bet. Good. I probably would size down. I think he's like going to be super weak, so a 3 or a 2 rather than 8. So I would just min bet. I'm not worrying about balance at all against this player. I think they're recreational 100%. Don't need to worry about balance. I'm just going, okay, I'm pretty sure I've got a better hand than him. So I'm going to try and get some value. I'm pretty sure his hand is weak. So therefore I'm going to bet tiny for value. So I just bet one big blind. Blinds are going up. At this point we are going to have to stack off with a hand like ace-6. Okay, get the fold. Ace-3 again. This could be a spot against this player where we can limp. Rather than shove, because we have such a post-flop edge on them. I think they've been so straightforward so far. Incredibly straightforward. So I personally would be limping this. I know it might seem a little bit crazy, but we're going for max exploit here against this opponent. I really don't mind that you shove though. It's never a bad play to shove. unfortunately ran into ace queen. Now, let's say I limped and he shoved on me. Do I call with ace three? I would fold. It's like, so far I haven't seen him being the kind of person that would shove, let's say, king 8 off, for example. King 9 off. I think he would just check that through. So therefore, I'm not worried about my range and the amount of money, amount of chips I've already put in. I'm just going to be like, okay, whatever. So I would be limp folding this against this player. I'll do it a few times, and then if he's showing that he can ISO shove quite a bit, then I'll just have to start shoving the ace three myself. But I think we can get away with some limps even with these kind of strong hands. And I would probably also, again, with your really strong hands, I would make a min raise against this player as well. I think that's how I'd play. Anyway, we've got ace three. Unfortunately, we don't hit and lose the game. But if you're playing these $2 games and you're getting players like this a lot, this is a good sign. I think you're definitely going to beat this pool. Those two players were really, really terrible. I mean, the first guy was, crazy. And then this guy was also someone you can really exploit. Those are the kinds of players that you can get the most amazing non-showdown winnings against. So you don't even have to see a showdown to be winning lots against them. They're really nice players to have. They let you know the strength of their hand. You can get some incredible reads on what they've got. But yeah, I think you played well. You just played a little bit differently to me. Overall, though, I would say it's a pretty good, solid session. Thanks for sending this in. If you guys have any questions or comments on this session, please let us know in the comments down below, or join our Discord group. It should be a link in the description. Thanks everyone for watching. This has been a really interesting session to see how the micro stakes games are. Never really played the micro stakes. We started, I think, at the $5 level to start with on the bankroll challenge. Regarding the bankroll challenge, right now I've been playing a bunch of Fusion Poker. So if you like Fusion Poker, there will be some grind streams and videos on YouTube as well as on Twitch. So I hope to see you there soon. This has been op.poker James. Ciao for now.